In today's video, I'm going to walk you through the steps for drawing and shading a nose with realism. As you can see, the nose has what we call the bulb of the nose, which is like shading a sphere. And then we have the wings of the nose on either side. We have the nostrils that sit underneath the wings of the nose, and then we have the bridge of the nose, which leads up to your eyebrows. So I'm going to break down how to draw the nose as shapes, and then we'll shade those shapes using a range of values. Okay, so to get started, you'll want a new sheet of paper. Okay. So go ahead and open your sketchbooks to a brand new sheet of paper and make sure you have a 2B pencil or a lead pencil would work in this case, like a mechanical one, an eraser, and a blending stump. Okay, and I'm just going to make sure we're centered for the camera so that you can see. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to draw, and I'm drawing my nose fairly large, so this is like the size of a quarter. I'm using my wrist just to make a circle. It does not need to be a perfect circle. You will perfect it as you draw, but it should be a fairly large. Don't draw a super tiny nose. That will be very frustrating. And I'm just finding the right positioning with the camera for you. Okay, next step, you've got your quarter size circle. We're gonna, just below halfway, we're gonna create a line. This line will, how long it goes out on either side will determine the width of the nostrils. I'm gonna make my nostrils fairly wide so that it's easier for you to watch me draw. And then from the edge of that nostril on either side, making sure it's about the same length, I'm going to draw what will become the tips of the nose. So again, symmetry is key. See how this is wider here? I'm going to have to adjust for that as I draw. So just being aware, and then bring this down, and it's going to not touch the very bottom of the nose, but just above the very bottom of the bulb of the nose. Okay, so then from there, right on this line, I'm going to draw in these little hooks. These will become my nostrils. I'm going to hook them under. And I'm going to refine this line here so it's not so square. Make sure my nostrils are roughly the same shape and size. Okay, and you'll want to be careful not to draw too dark. I've darkened this for the sake of the tutorial so that you can really see what I'm doing, but if you do yours really dark and a heavy pressure, these are guidelines. You want to get rid of them later. Okay, so next we're going to know that the bulb of the nose is going to catch the most light because it's the highest point on your face, so when the sun hits your face, it brightens up your nose, and then it casts a shadow over onto the wings of your nose. So we're imagining the sun's coming straight on to the face, so there'll be a shadow on either side. So I'm going to come up here, and I'm just going to bring, and I'm using this edge of my pencil, and I'm just going to bring that first bit of shading along here, and down around here. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to work into the nostril. And there's really no right or wrong order here. Okay. Let me straighten this out for you guys. I'm trying to give you the best view possible. Okay. And I like to shade as I go. So I'm going to blend that down and pull that light there. And now this is going to catch the highlight right here. So I'm going to protect that center area. And I'm going to blend this up. And I'm going to bring that shading down and around, leaving this part lightest. Then I might want to build up my shading inside my nostril again. And this is your most basic nose. We're keeping it simple as it's the first time we're doing it. So some of the more detailed, little tiny details we'll keep out for the sake of time and experience. Oops, I couldn't really see what I was erasing there when I did that. If you have like a cap eraser, that would work better than these larger erasers that the school gave you. So I'm gonna protect my highlight there. Okay, and let's see. I'm gonna bring some of that shading around the edge of the nose where it casts the shadow. I'm gonna make it a little bit darker. Just to start building up that varying dimension. And I'm gonna erase the center line here, but not this top line, because I'm gonna start to bring the shading around and bring it in here. Like I said, it's like shading a sphere, keeping the top the lightest. Now I'm gonna pull out that line there, and I'm gonna start to work on this side. Remember to pause and do as I do. So I'm keeping white there, right in the center, and I've smudged the sides here. This one side's gonna be a little darker than this side. The side of the light's hitting this side a little bit more. Bring that around. And I'm really gonna darken in this nostril, so I'm working back and forth between the two. The shade under here. And pull out a little bit of reflected highlight right in there that I'm gonna work back into and around. And now I'm gonna come and just darken the underside of the nose here and darken this nostril. So again, pause. And these nostrils need to look fairly symmetrical. So if you've got two very different shapes, you want to adjust. This one's a little thinner, so you can make it a little bit thicker here. And then I'm going to come in here, I'm going to find that edge of the circle. And so it's really, at this point, now that my nose is starting to develop, deciding like what needs to be darker, what needs to be thinner. Trying to soften, if you got really dark outlines here, we're gonna soften them up. Working that shading under the nose. I'm gonna bring this up now. And this is really coming into the eye here. I'm gonna bring some shading over the bridge of the nose. And up here. And I'm going to bring a little bit of a highlight here. So again, finding that way to kind of emphasize where the light's hitting. And bring some of the light across, the shadow across the tip here to tone it down just a little bit. And I'm going to work a little bit of shading around the nose here. Bring this down just a little here, so it's not, what you never want is like a really harsh line going up the side of the nose. And so I'm working to just soften that bridge of that nose. And there we go. I can still keep working in here perhaps. So looking where I can darken my value for greater dimension, and that's the way we check our work, is what could we lighten or darken for greater dimension, making sure it's not all gray. It has that 5 value range. Where can I improve my accuracy, my drawings? And know when to stop, know when to not, when you're overworking it, it's time to give it a will break. Maybe come back to it later and decide, should I pull out a highlight? Should I increase a shadow? Okay. But I'm going to stop there because I feel like if I keep going on this, I'm going to overwork it. So I see little things I can continue working on, but it's fairly decent for now. And I'm going to let you guys follow the steps, rewatch this video, and draw your nose.